Saint Therese was born on January 2nd, 1873, and passed away on September 30, 1897, at the young age of 24. Saint Therese of the Child Jesus and the Holy Face. She is born Marie-Françoise-Thérèse Martin, was a French Carmelite nun. She is also known as the Lil Flower of Jesus, or simply the Lil Flower. She felt an early age call to religious life and overcoming various obstacles. In 1888, at the early age of 15, she became a nun and joined two of her elder sisters in the Carmelite community in Normandy. After 9 years as a Carmelite religious, having fulfilled various offices such as the sacristan and assistant to the novice mistress, and having spent her last 18 months in Carmel in a night of faith, she died of tuberculosis at the age of 24. The impact of the story of a soul, a collection of her autobiography manuscripts, printed and distributed a year after her death to an initially very limited audience, was great, and she rapidly became one of the most popular saints of the 20th century. She was beatified in 1923 and canonized in 1925. Saint Therese was declared co-patron of the missions with Francis Xavier in 1927 and named co-patron of France with Joan of Arc in 1944. On October 19, 1997, Pope John Paul II declared her the 33rd Doctor of the Church, the youngest person and only the third woman to be honored. Devotion to Saint Therese has developed around the world. The depth of her spirituality, of which she said, "My way is all confidence and love," has inspired many believers. In the face of her littleness and nothingness, she trusted in God to be her sanctity. She wanted to go to heaven by an entirely new little way. "I wanted to find an elevator that would raise me to Jesus. The elevator," she wrote, "would be the arms of Jesus lifting her in all her littleness." Therese is well known throughout the world, with the Basilica of Lisieux being the second largest place of pilgrimage in France after Lourdes. Marie-Françoise-Thérèse Martin was born in Rue Saint-Lay, Alençon, France, on January 2nd, 1873, the daughter of Célie Guerin, a lacemaker, and Louis Martin, a jeweler and watchmaker. Both her parents were devout Catholics. Louis has tried to become a monk, wanting to enter the Augustinian monastery of the great Saint Bernard, but had been refused because he knew no Latin. Zélie, the mom, possessed of a strong, active temperament, wished to serve the sick, and had also considered becoming a religious. But the superior of the sisters of the Hôtel Dieu, Alençon, has discouraged her inquiry outright. Disappointed, Zélie learned the trade of lace making. She excelled in it and set up her own business in Rue Saint-Lay at age 22. Soon after her birth in January 1873, the outlook for the survival of Therese Martin was very grim. Enteritis, which had already claimed the lives of four of her siblings, threatened Therese, and she had to be entrusted to a wet nurse, Rose Taylor, who had already nursed two of the Martin children. Rose had her own children, could not live with the Martins, so Therese was sent to live with her in the forests of the bocage at Semele. On Holy Thursday, April 2nd, 1874, when she was 15 months old, she returned to Alecan, where her family surrounded her with affection. She was educated in a very Catholic environment, including Mass attendance at 5:30 a.m., the strict observance of fast, and prayer to the rhyme of the liturgical year. The Martins also practiced charity, visiting the sick and elderly and welcoming the occasional vagabond to their table. Even if she wasn't the model little girl her sisters later portrayed, Therese was very sensitive to this education. She played at being a nun. One day she went as far as to wish her mother would die. When scolded, she explained that she wanted the happiness of paradise for her dear mother. Described as generally a happy child, she was emotional too and often cried. Celine is playing with the little one with some bricks. I have to correct poor baby who gets into frightful tantrums when she can't have her own way. She rolls on the floor in despair, believing all is lost. Sometimes she is so overcome she almost chokes. She is a very highly strung child. At 22, Therese, then a Carmelite, admitted, I was far from being a perfect little girl. At this time, Therese was often sick. She began to suffer from nervous tremors. The tremors started one night after her uncle took her for a walk and began to talk about the mom. Assuming that she was cold, the family covered Therese with blankets, but the tremors continued. She clenched her teeth and could not speak. The family called Dr. Nora, who could make no diagnosis. In 1882, Dr. Gayral diagnosed that Therese reacts to an emotional frustration with a neurotic attack. And alarmed but cloistered, Pauline began to write letters to Therese and attempted various strategies to intervene. Eventually, Therese recovered after she had turned to gaze at the statue of the Virgin Mary, placed in Marie's room, where Therese had been moved. She reported on May 13, 1883, that she had seen the Virgin smile at her. She wrote, Our Blessed Lady has come to me. She has smiled upon me. How happy I am. In 1895, Therese, in an instant, Jesus, content with my goodwill, accomplished the work I had not been able to do in 10 years. After 9 sad years, she said, recovered the strength of soul she had lost when her mother died, and, she said, she was to retain it forever. She discovered the joy in self-forgetfulness and added, I felt, in a word, charity enter my heart. the need to forget myself to make others happy. Since this blessed night, I was not defeated in any battle, but instead I went from victory to victory and began, so to speak, to run a giant's course. Before she was 14, when she started to experience a period of calm, Therese started to read The Imitation of Christ. She read the imitation intently, as if the author traced each sentence for her. The kingdom of God is within you. Turn thee with thy whole heart into the Lord, and forsake this wrenched world, and thy soul shall find rest. In May 1887, Therese approached her 63-year-old father Louis, who was recovering from a small stroke. While he sat in the garden one Sunday afternoon and told him that she wanted to celebrate the anniversary of her conversion by entering Carmel before Christmas. Louis and Therese both broke down and cried. But Louis got up, gently picked a little white flower, root intact, and gave it to her, explaining the care with which God brought into being and preserved it until that day. Therese later wrote, "While I listened, I believed. I was hearing my own story." To Therese, the flower seemed a symbol of herself, destined to live in another soil. Therese then renewed her attempts to join the Carmel, but the priest superior of the monastery would not allow it on account of her youth. Therese entered the Carmelite order on April 9, 1888. On January 10, 1889, she was given the habit and received the name Therese of the Child Jesus. On September 8, 1890, Therese took her vows. The ceremony of taking the veil followed on the 24th, when she added to her name in religion of the Holy Face, a title which was to become increasingly important in the development and character of her inner life. In her quest for sanctity, she believed that it was not necessary to accomplish heroic acts or great deeds in order to attain holiness and to express her love of God. She wrote, "Love proves itself by deeds. So how am I to show my love? Great deeds are forbidden me. The only way I can prove my love is by scattering flowers, and these flowers are every little sacrifice, every glance and word, and the doing of the least actions for love." Saint Therese is known today because of her spiritual memoir, The Story of a Soul, which she wrote under the orders of two priorities of her monastery because of the many miracles worked at her intercession. She began to write A Story of a Soul in 1895 as a memoir of her childhood.